I'm scared.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hey, Disney,
You listening?
listening? Black Hole Star Wars crossover. Do it.
And you know what? When they're in the black hole,
What was the THE content, man? Who would put Sigourney Weaver in a space movie?
in 1977, a film was released that changed film and cinema forever, that spawned sequels, spin-offs, cartoons, and was a huge success. And that film, of course, was Star Wars. And all the other production houses were like, wait a minute, who knew you could make all this money from science fiction? So Paramount, of course, quickly rushed into production Star Trek The Motion Picture, which was released in 1979. And also Disney responded with The Black Hole, released in 1979. This is Disney's response to Star Wars.
Yeah, this is Disney Star Wars. And but to give it a little credit, it was actually kind of in production or writing and stuff beforehand because they were trying to capitalize on that disaster movie craze that happened in the 70s. So they were still trying to capitalize on someone else's like stuff, but then they just turned their disaster movie into Disney Star Wars.
Yeah, this was basically like the Poseidon Adventure in space or the Towering Inferno in space is really what this was.
Yeah. And you can tell but you can tell they totally changed it to be a Star Warsy type of thing. I mean, you look at that robot. What's that robot's name?
Vincent.
Vincent. So if you combined the mildly effeminate sassy English butler action from C-3PO and the kind of handiness and the tools and all that kind of cool stuff from R2-D2 and then combine them and have Roddy McDowell voice it uncredited, then you have the robot that they used for the black hole.
But it's totally not R2-D2 because he floats.
He floats.
Clearly
and it's
different.
Totally not C-3PO because he floats.
Totally different. Yeah.
And we're kind of breaking the rules here too because it was released in late December 1979.
Yeah.
But we can break our rules if it's that close.
Exactly.
Or we can say that the rules are totally valid if we want to. We're convenient that way. So if you were to ask us to say, hey, do Battlefield Earth, we'd be like, no, that's 2000. That's black hole. We can break the rules for the black hole, right?
Yeah, we'll allow it for this one. Not for Battlefield Earth.
We're convenient that way.
Yeah. We got, we're fine. So for those who haven't seen it, I guess it basically stars, let me go here. You've got, of course, you've already mentioned Roddy McDowell does the voice of Vincent, the floating robot. You've got Robert Forrester, who plays the captain of the ship. You've got Maximilian Schell, who plays Dr. Hans Reinhardt, who they meet on the ship that they go to. You've got Ernest Borgnine in it. You've got Yvette Mimieux. Is that how you'd say her last name? Mimieux.
A little side note about that role.
Mm-hmm.
They were considering a little known actress at the time. Just a little actress called Sigourney Weaver. But they didn't like her name, so they
doesn't have that. Yeah.
So she would
want to put Sigourney Weaver into like some space flick. I mean, come on.
Who would put Sigourney Weaver in a space movie?
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
But then they had another one lined up, another actress. She's like a Brazilian model.
Mm-hmm.
And shoot, I can't find her name. Do you know her name?
I don't remember. She's the one that got into the car wreck, right?
Yeah, because they had these kind of zero gravity scenes. And what happened was they're like, hey, everybody's got short hair because we got these zero gravity scenes and it's way easier if you just have short hair. So she called her her personal stylist, who was Vidal Sassoon.
Yeah.
That's who this chick was. She had
how important she was. She's like, no, I'm not going to the Vidal Sassoon salon. I want actual Vidal Sassoon.
Yeah. actual Vidal Sassoon came, and I guess she's just chatting with Vidal Sassoon and just drinking wine a lot, and they're just chatting it up and getting a haircut and drinking wine. But she got kind of sloshed and then got into a car accident on the way out,
Yeah,
so that she lost the role because she got kind of injured.
that sucks.
Don't drink and drive,
Nope.
especially if you just got your hair done by Vidal Sassoon.
Yeah,
You're drinking wine with Vidal Sassoon. Don't drive.
and
Call a
you're
cab.
about to star in a Disney film called The Black Hole, or co-star. Mhm. Yeah, so this group of explorers, they come across a massive spaceship that's sitting on the edge of a black hole. And they're like, wait a minute, we know the ship. This ship was supposed to be recalled back to Earth like 20 years ago. And Yvette Mimo, Dr. Kate
Mew.
Mimiu, we'll call her Dr. Kate because that's her
Yeah, let's
character.
call her Dr. Kate because
Dr.
that's
Kate.
way more Anglophonic.
Yeah, Dr. Kate's like, oh, my dad's supposed to be on that ship, right? And they're like, so they fly around, they land on the ship, and they find out that Dr. Hans Reinhardt, played by Maximilian Schell, is the only living person on the ship. And he's been there for 20 years ish. And he is planning to go into the black hole. And they're like, dude, you're crazy. But then a couple others are like, no, that's not so crazy. I kind of want to go too. And so they also introduce evil robot called also Maximilian.
Yeah, Maximilian.
Vincent, the flying robot, meets another flying robot like himself called Bob, who's been abused and is voiced by Slim Pickens, of all people.
Yeah, he looks like a little floating trash can because he's
Yeah,
all jacked
basically.
up.
Yeah,
How
he was
y'all
beat up.
doing today?
Oh, y'all, I know I'm all beat up, but I can still do stuff. And yeah, of course, because he's a beat up trash can robot, he has a southern accent.
Yeah,
While Vincent, voiced by Roddy McDowell, with his like kind of snobby British accent of like,
yeah,
oh,
because he's
I'm
the
Vincent.
erudite, sophisticated one.
Yeah,
I'm glad we have neutral American accents. People can't, put us into a category as easily.
yeah, based on our accents. And so yeah, so basically the conflict ensues of like staying on the ship, getting off the ship, like who's staying, who's leaving, the robots fighting each other, laser blasts, that kind of stuff, and going into the black hole. So I don't want to give away too much.
Well, and
Yes.
Dr. Kate can talk to robots with her mind.
Yeah, which yeah, so she has this ESP with Vincent that's not explained how that happened, right? Like it's just like she has ESP with Vincent. Why? Like why does a robot have ESP? And why does she have ESP? And why can they talk to each other with this ESP? And why is it only Vincent and no other robots?
Yeah. Otherwise, she could like get into Maximilian's mind and be like, "Stand down, fool." He'd be like,
Yeah,
"What?"
stand down, crazy evil robot. And of course, you have Ernest Borgnine in it because he did a lot of Disney stuff, and it's Ernest Borgnine, and he's cool. Although he's kind of a
Yeah.
jackass in this.
Yeah, he's only kind of a jackass toward the end, really.
Yeah, yeah, he turns into a jackass when he's like, "Screw you guys, I'm out of here." But like when you watch this, like I don't know about like when you watch this the first time. I was pretty young when I watched this, and I remember Maximilian giving me like bad dreams as a child. Man, like I seriously was traumatized by watching this film because Maximilian is scary.
He is scary. So he comes up with his like blender arms, and he uses them too at one point
Mm-hmm.
to take
Take
to do
down one of
some
the
madness.
characters. Yeah,
So he's pretty scary actually, and I think that's the reason why I believe this was Disney's first PG film,
correct. Their first
because
PG
it
film.
has a lot of dams and hells, and it's got Maximilian, this scary robot, blending up dudes. So I would agree. It's interesting watching this now because I haven't watched it in years, but I was just a kid when I watched this, little kid. And it's like one of those things like the Dark Crystal or Labyrinth, where you're just a little kid and you're watching this and you're like, this is kind of scary, but still fascinating. So he
Um,
is scary.
Yeah, imagine like being your typical Disney movie going person and you go to the theater and you're like, we're going to see our typical, G-rated Disney film. Like, oh, it's in space, cool. And there's little floating robots. That's cool. And then you're watching it with like your like, 6-year-old kid and the kid's like, Daddy. me. I'm scared.
Maximilian the robot just blended
Maximilian's
that
gonna
dude
kill
up.
me.
And he's coming after me at night. I know
No.
it.
Yeah, I don't want him to
Well,
abuse me
and all
like he
the
did to
other things,
Bob.
like not revealing too much, but a lot of the robots maybe aren't as robot as they think or whatever. That's kind of a
Mm.
scary concept. The whole thing there. It's actually it's got the Q robot thing going on, but in a lot of ways, it's a pretty disturbing movie for a Disney movie.
It
I
really
think it
is.
would be even borderline PG-13 if they had PG-13 back then, which they didn't.
Yeah, yeah. If they showed maybe a little bit more killing or something, but like, I mean, there's the bit where Maximilian uses little blades and go and kills the guy. I mean, that's
Mhm.
pretty. Ugh. And
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
if they would have added some blood splatter, that might have got them that PG-13.
but for a Disney movie, I'd say this is among the more
Oh yeah,
kind of more darker Disney movies. That's for sure.
yeah. Certainly for the era. And I would say even today, I watched this obviously in prep for tonight's episode with my wife, and she does not like this film. And I'm like, it's because you didn't watch it as a child, and you weren't
That's
traumatized as a child, and you're not
you
bringing
don't
that into
have
your
respect
adulthood.
for the Maximilian like we do. He didn't
Exactly.
haunt your dreams
No, no,
like he did us.
he didn't take him home with you. I love how Vincent too just has like a quote. He has like Vincentisms, and he's like, "Do, do, 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 do." And okay, Vincent, thanks for the useful advice.
Well, and that's why he gets along with the younger dude because the younger dude always has these kind of the young guy always
Mhm.
has these quips and little sayings. I didn't write any of them down. I should have,
I
but
should have too. Actually, now that I'm saying it, I'm like, man, I should have wrote some down because they were good.
that's why I think the young guy and the robot Vincent get along so well because they trade these little euphemisms all the time. These little sayings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Han Solo of the crew, the quick to shoot pilot, is that the guy you're talking about?
Yeah, the younger guy. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Lieutenant Charles Pizer or Pizer, Pizer.
yeah, the lieutenant.
Yeah, played
Right,
by
Joseph
Joseph
played by
Bottoms.
Joseph. Yeah. Well, he seemed to be the one who gets along with Roddy McDowell, floating Roddy McDowell the most because they just trade. They probably are bored in space and they trade all of these stupid little sayings that they know and they
Yeah,
buddied up. That's why he was gonna go out and get him right when
yeah.
he
He's
went
like,
all
what would
R2
you do if he was a member of the crew? He was a member of the crew.
because he went out to go like repair the ship on the outside, all not R2D2 style at all,
Yeah.
right? That's the thing with Vincent. He's a total. If you basically combine the two droids from Star Wars, you would have Vincent.
More or less. I still think Vincent's more badass. Like Vincent would kick R2D2's ass in a fight.
You think so?
Well, he's got blasters. R2D2 doesn't have blasters.
That's true. And
Mhm.
he even outblasted one of the hotshot robots
Yeah.
because the hotshot robot it was like bumping the other little robot and kind of bullying him around. And he's like, "Let me show you how it's done." And then they have this whole firefight with the robots who the not stormtrooper robots who also can't hit a broadside of a barn.
Who shoot as well. Yeah.
They shoot just as well as that's the thing with these late 70s and 80s sci-fi movies is you have a lot of cool pew 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 action, but in order to make it fun, they have to the bad guys have to miss all the time
Yeah.
because otherwise the movie would end because if it was real, they'd be like pew 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 and then you're dead because because that's it, right?
Because that yeah, exactly. There's a bunch of them. They're robots, which really means they probably should have pretty good aim anyways, because they're future robots. Yet somehow they miss every time.
Yeah, that's the thing. They ought to get these black hole robots versus the Star Wars stormtroopers and see who's the worst.
Well, they're all owned by Disney now. They could make that movie.
Dude, that's right.
Star Wars versus the black hole.
They could do a
Stormtroopers
black hole
versus.
Star Wars crossover.
Yeah. Dude, that's a movie I'd go
Dude,
see.
dude. Disney. Hey, Disney,
You listening?
you listening? Black hole Star Wars crossover. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. I'm serious. I'm not even lying. If you had those red robots and they can't shoot worth a damn, and then you have the stormtroopers and they can't shoot worth a damn.
Who
and
would
then
win?
maybe they go to the black hole, and I don't know. You can come up with something, but
Yeah.
this needs a crossover now that you own all of the properties in the universe.
Yeah. Maximilian versus Darth Vader.
Maximilian maybe teams up with R2D2 and C3PO,
Against Vincent and Bob.
something like that. I don't know. That this sounds amazing though.
Yeah, they could work it. They could work. You got a lot of writers there, Disney. You got a lot of money to spend on writers. So write that script.
Yeah, do it. Make it a Disney Plus TV show, man.
Totally. So yeah, the special effects actually I thought are pretty good too, considering when it was done. And so they must have put some money into that as well. I think there's a scene where the ship has asteroids that kind of come across it and stuff. And there's like this one scene where the asteroid kind of rolls down Indiana Jones style. There's the bit with like all of them floating. I mean, they had to do that on wire and that kind of stuff. They had the bit where the greenhouse starts to kind of fall apart and they're like getting, frozen and pulled away. And like even the ending bit and stuff with the LSD trip, bad trip, black hole experience.
Yeah, it got like Stanley Kubrick there at the end, didn't
Mm-hmm.
it?
Very much.
Yeah, I agree, and this was a lot of Disney's proprietary special effects because they originally wanted to get like the special cameras and stuff from the Star Wars people, Industrial Light and Magic, but I guess it was all booked up and it would have been really expensive to unbook it, so they went with their own kind of stuff, which you can tell it's really Disney-like. It's
Yeah,
very
it's still
Tron looking.
not. I mean, you put it side by side against Star Wars. I mean, special effects, that original Star Wars movie special effects are still heads and tails above, but this is still pretty good. I mean,
Yeah, it's pretty good. But it's still kind of old fashioned. So this had the preamble.
oh, with the music, yeah.
Like in the beginning, I started fast forwarding. I'm like, what the hell? Why is my movie not starting? But it's
Yes. I did the
because of
same
the old
thing. It
days
was
they
just
used to do
black
that.
screen. You're like,
Yeah,
is
I'm like, what's
I
going
actually
on with
stopped
my
it at one point. I'm
TV?
like, is this not playing? Like, what's the problem?
That was like among the last films that used a preamble.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know what this is, it's they'd start the movie with that to one kind of let you settle in, let you know the movie's starting, and kind of get you kind of comfortable in the theater. This is like among the last movies that ever did that though.
Yeah. So it's just a black screen with music playing.
Yeah. And this came, I don't know, this also came out at about the same time as Star Trek the Motion Picture, and it had
Same
kind
year.
of that same trippy vibe. Like I think the late 70s they were really wanting to do kind of prestige pieces with their trippiness.
Yeah, well, they had in Star Trek: The Motion Picture, they had the bit where they go to warp and they get stuck like in a wormhole with
Yeah.
and then stuff going on.
In a
Yeah. So you had
wormhole.
that with the black hole in this one. They're going
Yeah.
through, oh, spoiler, they go through the black hole, but I won't tell you what happens after. But maybe I will.
Go ahead. There's not much to it, but
Yeah. Oh, I want to go into the music though.
I
Like,
was about to say the same thing.
okay,
I
after
was
you then.
just
Go
about
ahead.
to start with the music.
Yeah.
You gotta love the theme song though, right?
So good. It's so creepy and so good. Yeah.
Yeah, the music was great. The music was done by John Barry, and he did a lot of James Bond films.
Mm,
And you can tell it's got that very kind of thing going on, like
yeah.
it's kind of creepy and weird. I love the music in this
It is
movie.
so good. I mean that opening shot with the ship just kind of coming across the screen
The not
slowly.
Star Wars opening
And
scene.
exactly, yeah, it's not Star Wars opening scene and the music playing as you watch the ship come across and stuff. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I like the music a lot. It's got a little bit of that heroic thing like Star Wars does, but it's got a lot of it's more creepy.
Yeah,
It's
it's
very
very creepy.
creepy.
Yeah, this is like a precursor to Event Horizon
That's what I was about to say too, dude.
oh
Do
man,
you
we're
have
on the
ESP to my robot mind or
dude.
something?
I
What's going on
did.
here?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Dr.
I'm
K called.
I'm
Wants her
channeling
ESP
Kate.
back,
You're
bro.
channeling Vincent. We're there, man.
Yeah, it is like a dark. I wonder if Dark Horizon was influenced by this.
It had to have been because I mean, you get that same vibe,
Yeah,
but
well,
you
it's an
definitely get
R
that
rated
same
R horror
creepiness.
movie.
Yeah, it's full on horror flick.
And
But
but this has elements of, I think this is kind of a very soft horror movie.
yeah,
I don't
this is
think it's,
PG
except for
horror.
a few scenes, a few pew 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 scenes, it's not super action packed. I think
Yeah,
this
because
is
you're
more of
basically
a,
like, are they going to get off? Are they not going to get off? Who's getting off? Who's not? Like, who's going to die? Who's not going to die? I mean, creepy Maximilian. You got creepy Hans Reinhardt. You got creepy other robots that might or might not be fully robotic.
yeah,
All that kind of
it's
stuff.
I can see why I was kind of scared of this movie when I was a little kid,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
for a little kid, this is actually a little disturbing.
Yeah,
But
yeah, creepy music. Yeah. So should we jump to the end a little bit and talk about the ending? That like the last couple shots of the film.
yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. If people haven't seen this, then
Watch
you're
it.
not
But
gonna.
even if we are going to kind of spoil it a little bit for you, still watch it. Like I knew what was going to happen because I'd seen it before, but I
Yeah,
still watched it again
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
still
It's
like,
worth
yeah,
it.
yeah. So yeah, the end. So they go through the black hole. But I won't tell you like how and who and what. But there's this moment where Maximilian and Hans Reinhardt come together
They're
and
like the same entity or something.
they're the same. And somehow Hans is inside Maximilian. So Maximilian is in Maximilian because his name's
Yeah,
Maximilian.
yeah, he is.
And they're on this like kind of hellscape thing going on with fire and like
Yeah, and he's on this tall
water.
mountain or tower, all like Lord of the Rings, evil Lord Sauron style, over all the robots in this hellscape. And you know what's trippy about that is, before he knew that Dr. Kate had ESP with robots, and he said, "Protect me against Maximilian."
Yeah.
When you're just like, why did he say that? He's kind of ordering him around.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, he's kind of afraid of that robot too.
Well, it turned out to be right in one way because how Maximilian left him, but then Maximilian comes up when they're going through the black hole and they drawn together. It's like there's got to be. I would love to just
Some
sit
kind
down
of
and talk
Stanley
to the.
Kubrick
Yeah,
symbolism going on there. It's the
absolutely.
same like when they go through the black hole, and then all of a sudden it's this angel
Oh
leading
yeah,
them
and
through
then
some
the
kind
other
of
angel.
heavenly corridor.
Yeah, exactly.
Heaven and hell type of stuff going on, man.
Yeah, it gets
It's all
very
very
religious
symbolic.
at the end, and it's very much so, which makes me. I would love to sit down with the writers and be like, dude, like, so up to this point, it's your like creepy space horror, sci-fi Star Wars spin-off. Yeah, exactly. And
what
you know what? When they're in the black hole,
what was the
killed
THE
it.
content, man?
Yeah, people will be fucking talking about this shit for years.
There's an angel, man.
Uh,
Lead
and
them
then
through the
like,
corridor.
yeah. And then how did Maximilian get in Maximilian? How did that happen? It blows my mind, man. Blows my mind. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Um, apparently, I was reading some of the trivia on this, and they did like a comic book sequel thing or something like that, or a storybook sequel or something like that. So I would love them to take that and make another film of this. This needs a reboot, in my opinion, but not a shitty reboot, like a proper reboot.
Yeah, that might be interesting.
Maybe if they don't shitty it up like they do most stuff.
Yeah. So I don't I don't I don't feel the same way about it like I did when I was a kid. I watched it again, and I don't know if I definitely I don't know if I love it as much, or if I have the same kind of, it gives me the same weird feelings or whatever. But I still give it a thumbs up. It's a fun movie. It's a trippy, goofy, weird movie, but I like it.
I like it too, as you could probably tell by my verbalization of having watched it. It certainly didn't scare the hell out of me like it did when I was a kid, but I'm an adult now. Of course, it's not going to scare the hell out of
Yeah, I hope it didn't
me.
scare you because it's rated PG, bro.
Yeah, totally. But I do still like it. I think you're right. It's a fun movie. The floating robot is cool, and I think it holds up. I would absolutely watch it again, and was glad that I did watch it again.
Yeah, me too.
Did you look up? I looked up some of these. So they also learned the lesson from Star Wars with toys and stuff. And they're like, oh, Star Wars made all this money off of toys. When we do our movie, we'll make toys as well and make a bunch of money, not accounting for the fact that this movie actually ended up kind of bombing in the theaters. And so the toys didn't do very well. And so they didn't
Okay.
sell a lot of them. But now, yeah, I looked, there was a Vincent robot in the packaging on eBay for like $700.
Wow.
Yeah, like an original one.
If I had a bunch of money, I'd buy it, Vincent, for 700 bucks.
I would if I could throw away $700
If
like
I
that
were like
easily.
super rich, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd buy it.
I'd add it to my toy
Vincent's
collection.
cool. I'm a Vincent fan.
Me too. So in the Star Wars meets Black Hole movie Disney, you also need to have R2D2 against Vincent besides your.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And then make a video game,
Oh, that'll work. Yeah.
kind of like Capcom did the crossover with X-Men and the Street Fighter 2. You could have the Black Hole versus Star Wars video game.
Yeah.
And then if you're both those robots and stormtroopers, you're just playing all day because you're totally just missing each other.
Mhm.
I can't get you. I can't get you either.
Damn you.
Pew, pew, pew.